Hey, how are you doing today? I hope things are going well. I'm making this podcast episode because I have been thinking about the unnecessary pain and suffering that some of you might be feeling as young moms. And in part, this has been on my mind because I'm a coach and I work with young moms, and partly because I've been writing about my experience as a young mom and remembering the level of difficulty that was. Not so much the difficulty in just the normal, everyday, keep everyone fed and clothed and bathed and safe and learning and growing and not fighting and all the regular everyday stuff that is really, really intense. But I've been thinking a lot about the pain that is unnecessary that we go through, because oftentimes as women, and even I think a little more so as moms, we can get into a trap in our minds. And sometimes it starts with some of the things that are just really difficult about motherhood. I mean, starting with pregnancy. Okay, let's say your pregnancy starts out with some fear and trepidation. As soon as you're pregnant, you start hearing everyone else's war stories. Has that been true for you? That's how it was when I was carrying my kids. Someone might learn that you're expecting, and then they might say, so have you been sick? Have you been feeling? And you could report, and then almost inevitably, the question is followed up by a litany of their experience or their sister's experience or their mother's experience or a friend's experience. Oh, my friend, she was sick for 3 months straight. She threw up every day. And the stories start, and then they don't stop until you've gone through labor and delivery. I was so blessed when I had my first baby, because my best friend was expecting a baby at the same time, and she delivered exactly a week before me. And bless her, she called me from the hospital to tell me that she had delivered, and she said not one word about the trauma part. She just talked about the beautiful baby. And I understood, at least a little bit in my mind at that time, that she was being kind and that she was withholding, at least being very judicious in what she said and what she didn't say. But I think it was because this was her third baby, and she'd been around the block a little bit, and she knew that I didn't need any more fear about the whole thing. So bless her heart. But that's how motherhood starts out oftentimes. And we can start to feel along the way through those experiences that are followed by experiences of a lack of sleep, incredible sleep deprivation sometimes, followed by, things that either are physically painful or that are just really challenging. And all of those experiences through years can give us a feeling or a sense of being a victim in the story, in our motherhood story. I came to motherhood myself with already a really deeply entrenched way of thinking that was very victim-y. And I think a lot of us are already kind of set to see ourselves that way. And what happens is at least this has been my observation about myself and about just people in general and the people that I work with. It's really, really easy to start casting yourself in that role more often, and not just in your motherhood role, but also in your marriage, and also in your extended family, and also with friends and acquaintances. Because thinking of yourself like a victim and then acting like you're the victim of the story can be kind of addicting, strangely, for quite a few reasons, I would think. And one of them is that it helps us to feel exempt from responsibility. We just think, well, if we're the victim in the story, if we're the one that is really put upon, then none of this mess is our fault. Whatever's happening in our marriage, what discussions are happening, or maybe arguments, or maybe if you're parents, there's plenty of room for whose responsibility is this and whose responsibility is that. And are we having any success? Or are we feeling like we're crashing and burning? So, family life is intense, to put it mildly. And it seems like there is always room or potential or temptation to be on what Dr. Bear calls the field of death, where we're just trying so hard to get what we need and want, even if that is through manipulation and deception, and or we're trying to protect ourselves from what we don't want. And I think a victim brain, thinking and feeling and acting like a victim, is a little of both. Can be. It can get some help if we communicate clearly enough that we're drowning, then it might engender feelings of empathy, sympathy. Let me help you. But it also can be really protective, because do people really tell us the truth about ourselves if we're acting like a victim or thinking like a victim, and we're playing that I'm too fragile card? Don't tell me the truth because I can't handle it. I'll fall apart. I'm not strong enough. And it is such a great disservice that we do to ourselves in that way, because we need to hear the truth. We can't see ourselves. We can look in a mirror. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't tell us where we are and how we're acting, how we're behaving. We really, really need our friends and family to give us that feedback. And if we're constantly walking around believing that we're the underdog, who's going to tell us that? Who is going to want to deal with the fallout and the emotions and the tears and the pain of someone who is thinking and acting like a victim, and then something is stirred up to the point where that feeling is just full blown? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to, take a stick and jab at someone who is going to bite. And of course, telling the truth isn't jabbing with a stick or doing anything abusive, but it can feel that way really quickly to someone who's already primed, someone who has maybe years of practice at dodging the truth because they have a belief that they can't handle the truth, or They have a belief that no one should tell them the truth because they're so used to not being responsible for themselves and for the situations in their lives that they truly feel that they can't handle that responsibility. But all of this equals unnecessary pain, real pain, not just emotional pain, but relationship pain and even physical pain. Because when you're in that level of tension for a long period of time, and most of us practice this for years, maybe growing up, maybe early in marriage, maybe still that victim voice is really loud and clear. That brings so much tension to our bodies, and our bodies really can't handle being in that nervous system response of being in fight or flight for a long time, like it's stuck in that mode. We get stuck in that mode, and it does not serve us. It doesn't serve us in our health, physically, mentally, emotionally. It doesn't serve our relationships. It doesn't serve our children. And it's something that I believe we need to come really clear about and own and change. And sometimes, I heard someone say this yesterday, I can see that I've made so many mistakes, but it feels like I just can't change. And I understand that feeling, but I think that it is a deception. I think we are wired to change. We were designed to grow. And listening to that voice of why try, why hope, why knock yourself out if you're just going to keep doing the same things anyway, and you're just going to keep feeling the same way anyway. I think that is a deception. We can change. We do change. And one of the things that makes my work so incredible and exciting is that I usually am working with moms, and they have this massive reason to change. And that is their children. That is hopefully creating enough reality in their relationship with their kids that their children can feel loved and valued and become responsible. So when we're in the dance of who is the bigger victim, which our society is just thriving on, it's what is driving our culture right now. When our relationships are in that mode, nobody's hearing the truth. No one is responsible. No one's standing up and saying, I will commit to doing things differently. I am sorry. I was acting like a victim. That wasn't right. That's not happening very much, but it needs to be happening with us. It needs to be happening in order to raise children who go out into the world knowing who they are, knowing that they're valued, knowing that they're loved even when they make mistakes, especially when they make mistakes. They need to know that in their bones. And they also, and these two things go together. When you know you're loved, you aren't fragile. You aren't being treated like a victim. And your parent is not acting like a victim. And so you have this relationship between people who are becoming all the time more and more responsible for themselves. That's how we build resilient kids. And that's how we build resilient marriages and families. We have to tell the truth. We have to learn what it is that we do that is unloving. And then we have to commit to changing that. And the people that I'm working with, their commitment is, I really want to change the level of pain that is in my relationships. I really want my children to leave our home in a healthy, strong, loved, responsible way. So I'm willing to do what it takes. And then they come to coaching. They come every week. They do assignments. They read books. They learn principles, and they're held accountable. And I am blown away. I am amazed constantly at their diligence and their commitment, their faithfulness to the ideal that I can change, you can change, we can be better. And we can change our parenting. We can change our marriage. I know it's true. I have experienced it. So it's hard for me to not speak about that, because so much of the pain that our culture is marinating in is not necessary. And the ticket out, the real change agent, is telling the truth. If you're speaking about that in a religious context, or however you want to say that, you would say, first, we have faith that God is powerful, that He can change us. And then we tell the truth. And the word for that is we repent. We turn back to God every time we turn away, every time we go to our rotten behavior, right? Every time we're manipulative or deceitful. But we have to learn. We have to have a mirror. We have to have the conversation. We have to learn the principles in order to know when we're being unloving. And we have to be held responsible for that, held accountable. And it's brilliant. It works. It absolutely works. And people do absolutely change. I agree wholeheartedly with the Alcoholics Anonymous and the statement that we need God in order to change. We can rely on His power, His omnipotence, His goodness, and His grace, whereas the rest of us are fallible. We're all humans, and we're trying to be supportive and helpful and loving and responsible. And we can be a lot more than we currently are. But He is faithful. So our change, our connection, our relationship with Him drives our ability to be able to rise up in our level of honesty, in our level of willingness to own the things that we've done that have not been loving. And not only have they not been loving to other people, but they haven't been loving to us either. Because we shoot ourselves in the foot every time we jump into one of those behaviors that's manipulative, because it keeps us from getting what we actually need, which is unconditional love. I love these principles so much, and I love the idea, the truth, that with help, with encouragement, with instruction, with accountability, we can change where we are. We can step out of feeling like the victim in our marriage relationship. Absolutely, right now. We can look at ourselves, go through the list of unloving behaviors. What am I doing? How am I thinking? And therefore, how am I acting? Am I acting like I am the only one that has needs and that I'm the only one that's been inconvenienced in some difficult situation? That I'm the only one that wants to have intimacy in the relationship? Probably not. But it's not until we tell the truth about ourselves that we will see the truth of our spouse. What's challenging for them? What do they want and need? And then we can start filling that in. And the level of love and companionship and grace and just joy that can be in our relationships is incredible. It is real and it's possible. So I send you my love today and hope that if any of these things that I've talked about today on this episode are compelling to you, if they speak to you, if you have a desire to change, to have relationships that involve less pain and angst, then come check out Lioness. Come see the courses that we're doing. Check out our coaching. I currently have one coaching spot available, and it is such a joy to be part of the change, the positive change that leads someone to a life of joy. It's heady. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'm really grateful to be part of it. So I hope you have a great day today. I will talk to you soon. See you. Bye.